Okay guys, I thought I'd do a little video while I had some time. This video is basically going to be over my work history, what I've done in, I don't know, 35 years of processing, engineer work, stuff like that. Okay guys, so I graduated in 1990 out of a school named Durant, Oklahoma. The only person that came out of that town that was real popular was Dennis Rodman. He went to Southeastern University that was in that town. So if you ever look up Southeastern University, you'll see that that's where Dennis Rodman come from. If you don't know who Dennis Rodman was, he played for the Detroit Pistons back in the days when basketball was real. So he played for the Bad Boys, played against Michael Jordan and all of them. So that's where I came from. That's where I went to school at. In 1990, I left there, got a job working with my dad. So this is the first company that I worked for after I left high school. I went to work at a company called Apex Die Casting. What they made there was they made parts for A.O. Smith, Shop Smith, Harley Davidson, International Trucks, you name it. They did aluminum and zinc there. They had 10 presses basically. So you had an accumulator on the back side. You had a press that opened and closed. The ladle would go up and dump the hot metal into the injection cylinder. It would use like a plunger system and shoot it forward. Okay. When I first started there, 2 years I was an operator. So all I did was run the presses, spray the lube, take the part out, run it down a table. The other week I'd run the punch presses. You'd run a punch press, it'd trim the parts out and stuff like that. I worked there 6 years. After 2 years of being there, I got promoted up to be a mold setter and lead shift, like a shift supervisor at the same time. So I'd rotate. 2 weeks I'd be a shift lead, 2 weeks I'd be off. Did that for 4 years. Then in 1996 is when I got out of the die casting business and got into the plastic business. I went to work for a company called Masters Industries. And Masters Industries is up in Ansonia, Ohio, if you know where Ansonia, Ohio is. So I went to work there. They made parts for Delphi chassis. They made a lot of Copeland parts. They made all kinds of different parts. They had old machines that were old Stokes, Niseys, stuff like that. They had a guy that actually got killed accidentally. He tied down one of the safety switches on the back side of the press on an old Stokes press. If you do that, you can open the front door up and keep the pump motor running while you take the back safety gate off. Well, what happened is he was in there working on it, and an operator went by and closed the door. You can imagine what happened. So I ended up leaving there because they closed that doors to that plant, and Parker Hannifin bought them out. So I went to work for Parker Hannifin, which was in Englewood, Ohio. Worked there for 2 years, a little over 2 years, before they decided that they were going to close their doors. But they made all kinds of different parts there. So they made rattling antlers, they made Honda parts, they made Lear parts, they made Mettler Toledo parts, they made Honeywell parts. I mean, you name it, they made it. They made all kinds of stuff. We ran stuff that had 100 cavities all the way down to 1 cavity. We ran a lot of high profile A-surface parts for automotive, plus Honda, stuff like that. So like I said, they closed that plant down in, like, I want to say it was like 1999 or something like that. It might have been a little after that. So at that time, they give you an option. You can stay with the company until they moved everything. They would give you a severance package. So that's what I did. I stayed with Parker Hannifin until they moved the plant. And then once they got the plant moved and everything, I decided that I did not want to go to where they were moving to. So I left that area and decided, hey, I'm going to move to South Carolina and work down in South Carolina. So I went to a company that was called Prettle Electric. So what they do there is they make wire harnesses, and this is a brand new startup. They already did wire harnesses, they did all kinds of cables and stuff like that, but they did everything by hand. They wanted to get into the molding industry where you have vertical presses and you do insert molding and you mold the parts. So they were going to do Siemens motor housings that were made out of nylon that were a substrate, and then we molded terminals inside of them to make them like a little motor basically. And then we did a lot of wire harnesses where we put the cables into a mold and then shot rubber over top of those. So went to work there. After 2 years of being there, I was like, I wanted to get out of that. It was like I was driving like an hour down there to the Greenville, South Carolina area from where we were living at. Got working in a tier 1 automotive supplier named Rochland Automotive. Went there to work. And then in 2008, they had a recession where they laid off like a lot of people. So we had probably 1,500 people that worked at that plant. About 700 people got laid off and let go. I wasn't one of them. I got to stay there actually. Worked there up until 2012. They did like a lot of stuff, like they were a tier 1 supplier for like, they did parts for BMW, Volvo, Volkswagen, you name it. They did like expansion tanks. They did A pillar, B pillars, C pillars. They did door panels, you name it, anything automotive interior and exterior parts. They did a lot of that, okay? All kinds of different materials, materials you had to heat, materials you didn't have to heat, just tons of different things. Left there in 2012 and decided to get into molding at brand new companies that were brand new startups, okay? So the first place I went to was called South Carolina Plastics. They're part of the Worthwine Group. So they're a German-owned company. They make fan shrouds and fans and stuff like that for your HVAC systems and stuff like that on your cars. Went to Germany for them to learn how to do the fans, to learn how to balance the fans. A lot of that different stuff as far as that. Learned a lot. We put in there, I think it was 10 presses is what we started off with. When I left there after 2 years, once it got up and running really good, they ran around the clock 24/7. So your supervisor was basically your process tech. Then you had a mold setter underneath him that would actually run the floor, do the mold changes. They didn't have a lot of mold changes. You'd have maybe 2 a day in a 12-hour period. They ran pretty good. I left that company and went to another company that was brand new startup, which was called Cooper Standard. Okay, so Cooper Standard does extrusion on the other side of the plant and wanted to get into doing molding on the other side of the plant. So what they did is they started off, we had 2 vertical presses that were Ingles. We brought those in. We're going to do birdhouse molding. So we get the extrusion from next door, we'd bring it over, we'd slide it into this birdhouse mold. This birdhouse mold would make a corner. So you'd make an A corner, a B corner, or a C corner. Plus we did glass encapsulation. So we had these real big presses with a rotary table on them, okay? So you'd load a piece of glass in there with a div bar, and then you'd rotate that around to the other side and you'd shoot rubber around it for like your back car windows. You'd do the corner pieces on your car window, okay? Started there. My contract was 2 years with them. We got everything up and running. The first year was really rough, and then after that, we ended up having 36 injection molding presses in there. They were all vertical presses. We had 3 big glass encapsulation presses at the very back, and then we had another, I don't know, it's probably 30 presses on the floor or more. They still run that to this day. They have a lot of business through GM. I'm not for sure who other customers are, but they do all the window treatments. So everything you can think of as far as your seal that runs here, the rubber seal on your cars, that's what they make. They make everything rubber seals. So that is the second company that was a brand new startup company. So now I'm going to the third company, which was a brand new startup. This place, I went to go work there. They just had the building built. There was nothing inside the building whatsoever. So I went to work at Proper Polymers down in Piedmont, South Carolina. So what they were wanting to do is they wanted to bring in I think it was 11 presses is what they brought in, ranging from 500 ton to 2,000 ton. They were going to be a tier 2 supplier for BMW. So what we were going to do is we were going to make parts for BMW. We were going to ship them next door to Magna, which was next door to us. They built their building right next door to us. We started off there, did a lot of traveling to Detroit, Michigan, because that's where polymers, proper polymers is what the name of it is based in Detroit, Michigan. Okay, so I did a lot of traveling, going up there, doing the samples, making sure the runoffs were good for the molds before we shipped the molds down to Piedmont, South Carolina. Once we got the molds all dialed in up there and we thought we had everything ready to run, we brought them back to South Carolina. We got them up and running. We had about 300 molds total. We did anything from bumpers, fascias, grills, you name it, anything that you can think of on the BMW. A lot of parts that were like really high quality parts that had very A surfaces and B surfaces, hardly any C surfaces. So these were parts that were seen very clearly. Ran there for 2 years. After 2 years, they got bought out by Magna. At that time, I wanted to be closer to home. I was driving all the way from Gaffney, South Carolina, all the way to the other side of Greenville, South Carolina, which was like an hour and 15-minute drive every day. Getting stuck in traffic a lot, doing all this crazy stuff. So I went to work at a company called Ply Gym. So Ply Gym is actually based right there in Gaffney, South Carolina. I was 7 minutes away from work. I love working there. They have probably 42 injection molding presses there. They do vinyl siding, gable vents, shutters, dryer hoods, you name it. Anything you can think of for the housing market, that is what they did. They're a very big supplier for housing. If you ever go into Lowe's, Home Depot and that, you'll see the name Ply Gym on their products. I worked there almost 4 years. They got bought out by Cornerstone Plastics, bought them out, or Cornerstone Brands is who bought them out, I think is what the name of the company is. In 2019, I was going through a divorce. I made a decision at that time because I lived on my own. I didn't have no kids, no wife, nothing. I was going through my divorce. I thought, why not move closer to the beach? I've always wanted to live close to the beach. So I took a job in Jacksonville, Florida. I went to work at a company there called Safariland. So if you look up Safariland, Safariland does gun holsters, tasers, stuff like that. They do probably about 15 different types of material that are heated materials, okay? They do gun holsters ranging from all different sizes, taser holsters from any size you can think of. They had, I want to say they had 12 presses maybe, I think something like that, but they were all Sumitomo. We only ran 2 shifts. We ran a first shift and a second shift. Some weekends we worked, some weekends we didn't. It just depends on what was going on. A lot of turnover there. We had tons of process techs come and go. Your process tech was a process tech / mold setter. So worked there for about almost 2 years before I decided to move closer to my daughter that lived in Panama City. My daughter lived in Panama City. I got a job working in Crestview for Southwire, which Southwire is a real big company. Thought, hey, this maybe could be the last place I work for. Southwire is huge, they're big. I've always wanted to live closer to the Gulf side, so I moved to Destin, Florida. After 8 months of working for Southwire, they ended up closing that facility, like closing their doors completely. They made zip ties and stuff for like ABB, 3M, Lowe's, Home Depot. They would run anything from 8 cavity all the way up to like a 400 cavity tool. You'd have zip ties that were 4 inches long all the way up to 48 inches long. Everything made out of nylon. Like I said, they closed that plant down completely. February 2nd of 2023 is when they closed the doors. They let me go way before that. They gave me a 6-month severance package. At that time, I decided, hey, I'm gonna look around, see what's out there. At that time, I found a job in Texas, in Temple, Texas, doing corrugated pipe. Never done corrugated pipe in my life. Thought, what the heck? It's plastics. How hard could it be? Moved out here. Been out here for about a year doing corrugated pipe. They put pipe in. It runs for several weeks on end. There's really nothing that changes. The processes stay pretty much the same. They don't change like they do in other jobs and stuff like that. They follow one principle, and that's all they follow. They have 2 different types of material. They have polypropylene and they have high density polyethylene. So that is exactly my career. Is so far up to date of what I have done over my career. I've been to Germany, I've been to Canada, I've been to a lot of different job sites over the years, from the West Coast to the East Coast, from South all the way up to North. Love learning a lot of stuff. Had my hand in the cookie jar, a lot of different companies, learning different things, different aspects. Got my 6 Sigma green belt, got my Master Molder 1, a lot of different schools I went to, John Bazzelli, hot runner systems back in the day, valve gate training classes, just a lot of overall stuff. Been to a bunch of different plastic seminars, been to the MPE conferences over the years when they were in Chicago and when they were in New Orleans, or not New Orleans, but Orlando, Florida. I'm always saying New Orleans, I don't know why. But pretty much my favorite presses are Engel presses. I've got a lot of experience on all kinds of different presses, but my favorite press is Engel. I've went to school for Engels, went to school for Nices, went to school for Crossma 5, went to school for Battenfields and Cincinnati Millicron. Those are the ones I went to school for and went to the company's sites to learn. Got some old schooling on like some Stokes, some Boyds, you name it. I got 30 presses I've worked on over the years, different ones. Robots, I can program from scratch anything from 6-axis robots all the way down to just a pick and place robot or sprue puller. Just different types, anything you can think of, from the Engel Viper robots to the Crossma 5 robots to, you know, Yushin robots, Whitman robots, you name it, just anything in particular. Drying systems, I've worked with Conair, I've worked with McGuire, I've worked with, you know, several different things over the years. Managed people a lot over the years, did a lot of training. That's probably one of my favorite things to do, is the training aspect. Training process technicians and mold setters on how to do the job and do it the correct way and the safe way to make their job better and easier, and to help them grow in the company. That way they can move from being a mold setter or a process technician and move up to the next level of whatever they want to do in their career. Worked hand in hand with several people over the years doing that. Just a lot of different things in my career. I just wanted to share with you guys like a little bit of what I've done in my career and what I've actually done. Like I said, I've been in the plastic industry ever since 1996. I haven't done anything else but plastics. Like I said, I did die casting for 6 years, but I've been out of that market for so long, I don't remember. It's pretty similar to injection molding. You use a plunger and you use accumulators and stuff. You do use accumulators and injection. It just depends on the size of the part and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna try to start doing videos all the time. This channel is injection molding skills and more, so why not add more to this channel instead of just me just showing you guys molding stuff all the time? Why don't I do videos of me enjoying life, showing you guys where I travel to, just things like that all the time, because I do have some videos on here that show you when I lived in Destin, that show you when I went to Germany, stuff like that a long time ago. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below if you enjoyed it and you liked it or not. I really do appreciate all the support to the channel. It means a lot to me. I appreciate it. And again, stay positive, keep your head up, and keep pushing forward, guys.